Bob, you must be on a different time zone, or Commissioner IL.
It's 5:32 p.m. here.
Right, yeah, so it's it's 7:32 here.
Oh, good.
So I'm actually in Florida.
Oh, good.
We're right on the edge of that
Oh,
2 or 3 hour time zone difference. So
Awesome.
Say hello to your family from your fellow commissioners.
I will. Thank you. Okay, so we'll start this off, I guess, with the with the statement that the Port of Olympia is working diligently to address the threat posed by COVID-19 to Thurston County, the state of Washington, and the United States. On March 16th, 2020, the Commission adopted Resolution 2020-03, authorizing certain emergency powers in light of the COVID-19 outbreak, including invoking applicable emergency exemptions to meeting notice requirements and location restrictions of the Open Public Meetings Act. Pursuant to Resolution 2020-03, the Port of Olympia Commission is conducting today's meeting remotely. The Port is following the guidance from the Thurston County Thurston County Health Department to take all efforts to prevent the spread of this virus and is acting in the interest of the safety and welfare of the public, the community, and our employees to limit its spread. So thank you and welcome everybody here tonight. Next up would be the Pledge of Allegiance. Commissioner Downing, would you lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Sure. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we've all received the agenda. Is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Point of information relevant
Yes,
to the
Commissioner.
approval of the agenda. Are we for sure going to have a work session next Monday?
I'm not sure.
No, Commissioner, that's scheduled for Tuesday because of the holiday.
Okay, so for sure, we're going to have one next Tuesday.
Correct.
And it'll be a special meeting, so any topics we want to put on request for that meeting will have to be done so in advance, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Sam, and thank you for that point of information.
Mhm.
Please continue, Chairman.
I would move to approve the agenda.
Second.
All right, we have a motion to approve tonight's agenda and we have a second. Is there any discussion further on that? Not hearing any discussion, I will call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? No. No opposition. So the motion carries and we have an agenda for this evening. Next thing on the agenda is special reports. Executive Director Gibney, is that you?
Yep, we have no special reports tonight.
No special reports tonight. So then we'll jump to the Executive Director report.
Great. Terrific. Sam Gibney, Executive Director, and you might notice a new look to our first slide tonight, and that is in recognition of our centennial this year. And please go to the next slide. As you're aware, the Port of Olympia is celebrating its centennial this year. I've already begun making port historical presentations and will give another one at the Tumwater Chamber of Commerce meeting on Wednesday, February 16th. That's this week. Senior Manager of Communications, Marketing, and Government Affairs, Jenny Folia Jones, will be joining us at the next regular commission meeting to discuss centennial planning already underway and what you can expect to see taking place throughout the remainder of the year. Next slide. I'm very pleased to announce that we've added several new staff members to the Port of Olympia crew. Alexandra Slitter is one of the port's new marina office coordinators. She comes to the port with a diverse background, including festival coordination, marine sciences, and retail management. She also holds her near coastal master captain's license, 100-ton license, with a sail endorsement. For the past 8 years, Alexandra has worked on tour boats in Hawaii and has managed a boat club in Seattle. Justin Newman joined the port's team several months ago as a marina office coordinator in a project role. I'm pleased to announce that he has been hired into this position on a regular basis. Justin is a veteran of the U.S. Army. Originally from Miami, Florida, he came to Washington in 2014 when stationed at JBLM. He decided to remain in Washington after his Army career was complete. Justin is a boater himself and is already looking into different yacht clubs he can join when he purchases his next vessel in the near future. And then last but certainly not least, Kelly Watson joined the port's team in December as the Marine Terminal Operations Assistant. She comes to us with a customer service and administrative clerical duties background. Please join me in welcoming all 3 of these individuals to our team. We are so pleased to have them aboard. Next slide. The Marine Terminal has been busy already this year and has had 2 log vessels and 1 dairy cattle vessel over the last few weeks. We're off to a great start for 2022. I could tell you I had a picnic dinner on Saturday across the way at the Rotary Park and was really excited to see 2 vessels at berth on a literally lovely evening. Next slide, please. Our facilities maintenance team have been working hard to bring our street and parking lot lighting in line with more energy efficient standards. All of the street lights along Marine Drive, from the Marine Drive and Market Street intersection down to Anthony's Hearthfire, have been rewired and set up with LED fixtures, going from 175 watts to 70 watts. The LED lights also provide an increased illumination for security. Swantown Marina Boat Launch parking lot has also been rewired to LED, replacing 400 watts to 150 watts. And the Swantown Marina, along with all the parking lots, has replaced its ballasted high-cost lights with energy-efficient LED fixtures, providing a more environmentally friendly solution and longer-lasting bulbs. So shout out to the facilities and maintenance team.
Question?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Sam. Wonder what those strange things are that are hanging from the lamp posts along marine drives. That, you know, are they bird nests or insects testing, or, you know, I've been asked what those are and I don't have a clue.
Yeah, I can't answer you that right now, Commissioner, but I'd be happy to get back to you on that.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Next slide. The Swantown Boatworks team has been busy getting ready for the upcoming boating season. They replaced the marine travel lift straps and the lift is ready for you and your boat on the water this year. Next slide. And speaking of getting ready for the boating season, Swantown Boatworks is offering a free wash with a one-way haul out or survey haul out through March 31st. You can contact Swantown Boatworks to schedule your haul out. Next. Port of Olympia is currently preparing an airport master plan update for the Olympia Regional Airport. The second public open house for the update will be held on Thursday, February 17th from 2 to 3:30 p.m. via Zoom. A link for the meeting can be found at portolympia.com on the Airport Master Plan webpage or on the homepage calendar. If you are unable to attend the open house, a recording will be posted to the Airport Master Plan webpage after the meeting is complete. Next slide. Save the dates for Summer Nights at the Port, a series of 3 free family events taking place at the Port's North Point at the waterfront. These events were previously known as Movies at the Marina. Staff have been working on a great lineup of live music, food trucks, beer garden, and of course, outdoor movies. The July 30th and August 13th movies have already been set, but we are asking the public to help us select the July 23rd movie. Please visit portolympia.com to provide your input. Next slide. The South Sound Maritime Heritage Society has submitted a state capital budget request for the completion of the canopy for the Parthia tugboat. The Port of Olympia provided a letter of support for the request to Senator Sam Hunt and Representatives Lori Dolan and Jessica Bateman of the 22nd District. As a reminder, the Port of Olympia has already leased an area near the farmers market for the permanent display of the Parthia. Next slide. And speaking of maritime heritage, you can help us and the Washington Trust for Historic Preservation chart the course ahead for our saltwater shorelines by reviewing the draft plan for the Maritime Washington National Heritage Area. This new National Heritage Area will help us celebrate, maintain, and share Washington's maritime heritage. The Port of Olympia is a proud anchor organization, and we've been proud to help shape the program alongside the other anchor organizations from across the region. You can help us refine the plan by taking a survey now through March 4th, providing comment on the full management plan, or attending a virtual information session. You can visit preservewa.org to get involved. Next slide. Port of Olympia offices remain closed to the public until further notice out of an abundance of caution to reduce the spread of COVID-19. Port businesses and administrative functions will continue with limited access to the general public. Staff is available by phone and email. A full list of operational changes can be found at the Port's website, as well as on our social media platforms. Next slide. Port offices, including Swantown Marina and the fuel dock, will be closed on Monday, February 21st in observance of the President's Day holiday. And next slide. As always, we have several ways for the public to engage with us. Here are some ways to connect, contact us, give us a feedback, or request a conversation. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions. Oh, you're muted,
Commissioner Isle.
Oh, yeah. Any questions, Commissioner Downey?
Nope. It's a good report. Thank
Commissioner
you.
Evans?
There's a long one today.
Oh, no, it's exciting. Lots of good stuff. Thank you, Sam.
Yeah, I had one question about the first slide. You don't know what year that might have been. Was that wasn't a 100-year-old picture, was it?
I don't think so, but it's probably some of the very early days. I can get that the year of that photograph for you.
Yeah, it just curious because it reminded me that my dad, when I was very young, my dad worked in a lumber mill down on the port there, and
Oh, no kidding.
He'd work there all day and then go to night school to get his accounting degree. So
Wow.
But anyway.
Okay.
And then just also, I just wanted to say congratulations to the new folks that are here with full-time employment. That's really great news. I'm happy they're here. Okay, so moving on, looks like next is public comment and commission response. Did we have, I didn't see if we had anybody sign up for public comment tonight.
We did have one, and I do see John Cezanne in the attendee list. And then I do see some hands being
Yeah,
raised.
their
So,
hand coming up, okay.
I will,
Yeah, if John's on, we can,
alrighty.
John, when you're on, go ahead, you have the floor.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Great, okay. Hello, everybody. I'd like to talk about Vision 2050. On August 26, 2019, the Port Commissioners adopted Resolution 2019-08 to accept and implement the Port Vision 2050 Action Plan. Port Commissioners Downing, McGregor, and Zeta all signed the declaration. The resolution directed the Executive Director to plan the implementation of the Port Vision 2050 Action Plan. The Vision 2050 plan provides that the, quote, the Executive Director shall establish an implementation team, unquote. This team was supposed to consist of members from the port staff, a POCAC member, and I believe 2 citizens from the community. The team was directed to create an annual progress report and presentation, provide resource identification and troubleshooting, provide periodic community updates on specific highlights, provide periodic open houses to discuss results, provide management of a year 5 update program. It's apparent to me that nothing to date has been done to comply with the implementation tasks required in the Vision 2050 plan, which was adopted by the Port Commissioners in Resolution 2019-08. Or if there has been some action on it, it's a well-kept secret. The Vision 2050 project was a 14-month process that required a great amount of energy and resources. Obviously, the pandemic arriving in the spring of 2020 put a strain on the port and our entire community, but nevertheless, there should have been some progress toward implementation of the plan in an effort to comply with the goals and objectives that were clearly delineated in the Vision 2050 plan. This is from the Vision 2050 document, quote, a diverse 27-member task force analyzed 10,000 ideas submitted by nearly 1,700 individuals and developed a set of proposed actions under 10 umbrella goal areas, unquote. There's no doubt that the creation of the Vision 2050 plan was a mammoth undertaking, and that the failure of the previous commission and the port staff to follow through on the implementation plan is an egregious insult and a disservice to the task force and to all the members of our community that participated in this project. Therefore, I'm calling on the current commissioners to do the right thing, direct the Executive Director to immediately prioritize the organization of an implementation team and get to work on the goals and objectives of Vision 2050. Vision 2050 is all about preparing for the future. The delay in implementation of Vision 2050 action is only going to make it more difficult and costly down the road. So let's get to work. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Cezanne. I believe next I saw Carla Wolfberg's hand up. Carla, if you're on, the floor is yours.
Yes, thank you. Good evening, commissioners. So my name is Carla Wolfsberg. I live in Tumwater, and I have a request. And this is for recorded Port Commission meetings to be made available on Thurston Community Media Cable Television. So on several occasions this year, each of you has stated your interest to increase transparency at the port in order to provide the public with information critical for citizen involvement. So recorded Port Commission meetings currently available on the internet at the port's website are a valued source of public education. However, those recorded meetings have the potential for reaching a much larger audience in Thurston County via cable television. And in the past, Port Commission meetings were cablecast on what was then Thurston Community Television, TCTV. Deborah Vinsel, who's the executive director of Thurston Community Media, which is just a new name, same organization, explained to me a couple of weeks ago that if the port commissioners make a request, TC Media would, at no cost to the port, schedule recorded Port Commission meetings to be broadcast 2 or 3 times a week on either Channel 3 or Channel 26. Your recorded meetings would run during the weeks between port meetings. So Ms. Vinsel explained that scheduling port meetings would have no impact on the TC Media workload. So they welcome the opportunity to offer the public greater access to the port. And as you may know, TC Media is a nonprofit organization that, among other services, contracts with local governments to record and cablecast their public meetings. Thurston County Commission meetings, Tumwater City Council meetings, and City of Olympia Council meetings are currently recorded and made available on by and TC Media on cable TV channels 3 or 26. So about 4 or 5 years ago, the port ended the contract with TC Media and purchased their own recording equipment. TC Media would have continued to broadcast the recorded meetings, but according to Ms. Vinsel, the TC Media wasn't able to get access to the port's recording due to a technical issue with the recorded files. So I'd just like to ask the port commissioners to contact Deborah Vinsel with a request to broadcast these recorded meetings and work sessions on TC Media. I sent you each an email today, and I offered the email address of Deborah Vinsel so that it would be easy for you to contact her. So I think these would provide increased port transparency, and also it would reach out to people in another, perhaps new audience throughout Thurston County. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Wolfsburg. Next, I see Richard Wolff has his hand up. Mr. Wolff, please go ahead. I'm not hearing you yet if you've started talking, Mr. Wolff. Looks like you're muted.
Can you hear me now?
There we are. There you go. All right. Thank you. Now,
Sorry about
the floor
that.
is yours, sir.
This is kind of crazy. My name's Richard Wolff. I live on East Bay Drive in Olympia. I've been attending your meetings for the last 15 years or so, and I am part of the East Bay Drive Neighborhood Association, but I am talking for myself tonight. I have a couple of requests I'd like the commission to consider. First of all, I understand it involves the Zoom meetings, and I understand the reason for the Zoom meeting, and I concur with them, and I think they're a good alternative. But I think it could be improved a bit, and that's where my request comes in. I would like to see the commissioners reestablish, if they can, the participant list on these Zoom meetings. The meetings we have face to face, we all see each other, we all know who's there. We get a lot of information from that. And I think it would significantly improve these Zoom meetings, which we have to continue doing for the near term at least, by having a participants list so that we know who is on these meetings with us, and I think that would be helpful. So if you'd give some consideration to that, I would appreciate it. The second request I have is dealing with the agenda and your meeting. Last meeting that you had a couple weeks ago, during the advisory portion of the agenda, you had a few topics and then immediately moved on to the next topic on the agenda without having public participation or public comments, excuse me. I talked to Sam Gibney, and she said she would get it on, and I noticed there's something on there tonight, but it's not what really is approved. The advisory portion of the agenda, as required by the commission, approved operating procedures. And since it wasn't today in the agenda, it says continued public comment if needed, and I have no idea what that means, but it sounds like that's an option to the commissioners, and frankly, it's not. Your operating procedures require it. So what I think I would like you to consider doing is, in the future, on your agenda, it should read the same as under the action other, such as it would say public comment on advisory items and commission response. That's a requirement of your operational procedures. So I think that should happen. And I will say that I was disappointed the last meeting because I did have comments and I tried to raise my hand. I kept pushing it, but nobody would allow me to come in. And it's very disappointing and frustrating when you're on a Zoom meeting and you can't have this kind of back and forth that we would have if we were face to face. So I would appreciate your consideration of both of those requests. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wolff. I don't see any other hands up. So we can go to commissioner response. Commissioner Evans, do you have any response you'd like to share?
Mr. Cezanne, I think we're all really excited about the work that was done with Vision 2050, and I appreciate you bringing it up. I guess I view it a little differently, not as a failure of Sam or the staff that we haven't gotten it all done, but just as an opportunity with the constant pivot of COVID. I think that when everything's important, nothing's important, but it is a priority, and it's something that we've been talking about. And I'm excited for Sam to continue to task her team so that we can act on all of that great information, because as you said, it was a great body of work. So I'm excited for us to take action on that. TCTV, I think that sounds interesting. I would, Sam, is that something that maybe you could get us some information about what that looks like? I think the same thing on the participant list. Richard, we had made some requests to kind of better facilitate the public interaction, and there are some limitations based on the Zoom format, but maybe that's something that, Sam, if you could get back to us on whether that would be possible. I think sometimes as commissioners, there might be unintended consequences we don't think of from a procedural standpoint, but I think it's a great idea. And then, yeah, I just appreciate you all, you being on and showing up and giving public comment. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Evans. Commissioner Downing, do you have any response you'd like to give?
Sure thing. Thank you, Chairman IL. Mr. Cezanne, I think Commissioner Evans said it well, so I echo her comments. Ms. Wolfsburg, that's an excellent idea, in my opinion. I was around when we made the switch away from TCTV to our own in-house recording. And that was done as a cost savings in the neighborhood of $20,000 a year, because back then we had to bring in a couple of people to actually do the filming. So then we came up with this nifty technology where the camera just somehow goes around the room and picks up the speaker. But the downside of that was that those recordings were not able to be transferred over to TCTV. So if you're correct in that there's no cost to us, and we can take those recordings and send them over to TCTV so that people can turn on channel 3 and watch a Port of Olympia recorded meeting, I think that's an excellent idea. So I hope that we can look into that. And then Mr. Wolff, you'd think that after all these years, I'd have the format of a meeting memorized, but I believe you're correct that that public comment is part of the format right after the advisory calendar. So I'm not going to look it up right now, but I'll just say that it's important for us to follow our own resolutions and in terms of the format. So I'll leave it at that, and I'm sure that staff will double check where that public comment needs to be. And then, the participant list. Well, that's interesting. I'll bet you any money. So I can go to the bottom of my screen and click on participants, and I can see attendees and panelists. And you're darn right. That's very interesting to look at and see who's on, whatever. But at some point, probably we had to remove the chat function because when you're having a public meeting, there's only one conversation going on, and there was a bunch of side conversations and requests of commissioners during the meeting and so on and so forth. So it could be related to that technological piece, but I'm sure that staff heard your concerns and we'll look into it. Thank you, Chairman. That's all my comments.
All right, thank you both commissioners. Yeah, I would just like to say I appreciate everybody who does come and attend our meetings and shares your comments and your thoughts with us. And I know that we all take them very seriously and intend to follow through with those. I'm sure my fellow commissioners agree with that. So I think they covered everything pretty well. So I'll just leave it at that with just a thank you for being here and participating. So moving on to the next item on the agenda is the consent calendar, and I don't see anything on the consent calendar that needs approval. So we will move on to the action calendar. And the first thing, the one and only thing on the action calendar is Resolution 2022-02, Commission Rules. And Executive Director Gibney, if you would like to take the floor.
Thank you, Commissioner. Sam Gibney, Executive Director, here to speak with you tonight about potential changes to the Commission Rules Resolution. Next slide. We're here tonight for Commission consideration and action regarding proposed changes to the rules governing the transaction of Port Commission business. By way of background, the Commission last updated the rules resolution in July of 2021. Staff presented a draft of the proposed changes at the last meeting on January 24th, 2022. Next slide. The first proposed change is to reduce the number of meetings from 4 per month to 3 per month. This would be a reversion to the Commission meeting schedule prior to 2021. This would take us to 2 regular meetings per month on the 2nd and 4th Mondays at 5:30 p.m. and 1 work session per month on the 3rd Monday at 2:30 p.m. Next slide. The next proposed modification would be to change the expectation regarding the publication of the meeting material packet. Currently, the expectation is that packets are published 4 business days before a meeting or the Tuesday before an upcoming Monday meeting. The proposal would set the expectation that packets would be published on the Thursday before a Monday meeting. That is 4 calendar days or 2 business days before the meeting. Next slide. Those are the only proposed changes, and here's a sample motion for Commission consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions before you begin your debate.
All right, thank you, Executive Director Gibney. We do have a sample motion there on this action item. Do I hear a motion to approve this?
Sure. Move to approve Resolution 2022-02, adopting rules governing the transaction of Port Commission business.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. The motion is to approve Resolution 2022-02, adopting rules governing the transaction of Port Commission business. Is there any discussion on that? Commissioner Downing, you made the motion. Would you like to make any comment?
Well, I think we thank you, Chairman IL. I think we covered this in the last meeting. As far as discussion, these are a couple of minor changes and they help us to expedite business at the port. So I feel good about it.
Commissioner Evans, any comments?
Just want to point out that we can continue to hold as many additional meetings as necessary to get port business done. As has been evidenced recently, we're having many additional meetings. So I feel comfortable with the staff recommendation of the scheduled meetings and filling in as necessary when projects require that. And as far as the time for posting the minutes, I think it's reasonable given that there's 2 work days and 2 weekend days. So based on people's different work schedules or life schedules, that's still giving reasonable public notice while taking into consideration the pressure on the staff to produce an accurate, I'd rather have the materials be accurate when they go out, and that's easier to do when we're getting closer to the meeting because we have more information. 4 days seems more than reasonable, so.
All right, thank you. I thought I heard you say the posting the minutes. I think you meant the
Oh.
agenda, or I maybe heard you wrong.
My apologies. Yes, the agenda.
Okay. All right, hearing no other comments or discussion, we'll move the motion, which is the motion is to approve resolution 2022-02, adopting rules governing the transaction of Port Commission business. We'll move that to the vote. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed, say no. There's no no's, so the motion passes. And the motion passes that the rules governing the transaction of the Port Commission has been amended. All right, thank you very much. Moving on to the next agenda item. Looks like action other calendar. First one says none, and then we do have a number 2 that says public comment on action other. Oh, I see. There is no action other calendar tonight. So there's no action other calendar, so there would be no public comment for that as well. All right, so moving on then, the advisory calendar. First item on the advisory calendar, multi-purpose training center, interlocal agreement with City of Olympia and Lot Clean Water Alliance. Executive Director Gibney.
Great, thank you, Commissioner. And once again, Sam Gibney, your Executive Director. I'm here to speak with you tonight regarding a draft interlocal agreement about a multi-purpose training center. Next slide. The draft interlocal agreement before you represents an opportunity to explore a potential partnership to develop a technical trade education center. Early conversations have indicated that there are multiple parties and agencies with shared interest in education, trade training, workforce development, economic development, and environmental sustainability. Specifically, the Lot Clean Water Alliance needs specialized trades for their unique capabilities. The City of Olympia has a designated trade district in the area, and the port recognizes the need for maritime trade and other trade training. The siting of such a facility could potentially be on port property near the Port Peninsula or the East Bay districts. Other organizations and community groups may also wish to participate, including the Olympia School District, South Puget Sound Community College, and the New Market Skills Center. This interlocal agreement presents an opportunity to leverage resources by working together. Next slide. The purpose of this interlocal agreement is to conduct a joint scoping exercise to explore a possible collaborative project and to define a pathway towards implementation. It does have 3 major parties: the City of Olympia, Lot Clean Water Alliance, and the Port of Olympia, each contributing $10,000 each towards this project. The scoping exercise would identify and prioritize goals for the project, consider opportunities for physical infrastructure, consider related training and programming, and involve the Center for Sustainable Infrastructure. The work product at the end of all of this would be a documentation of goals, a summary of priorities, opportunities, and potential programming. Next slide. And I'm happy to answer any questions for you.
Yeah, any questions, commissioners? We can go around the room. Commissioner Downing, any questions?
I don't have any questions. I have a couple comments, so should I hold
Sure.
my
Yeah,
comments?
go ahead with your comments. Questions or comments, I should have said.
Thank you. Well, this is going to be a tough one for me because, you know, I have not really heard about this initiative before tonight. And I think it's a little bit, I went back and I studied Destination Waterfront, which was approved in March of 2021. And I read through that document, and a lot of different things were mentioned in there, but I didn't see any mention of a trade or training center. That's one thing. And the other thing is, you know, I would hesitate to, you might say, give the city of Olympia the lead on something that seems to be pointed at port property. So, you know, I'm more focused on Destination Waterfront, and if we can move that forward, you know, I just have a little bit of a hard time, you know, getting behind it. You know, I think more of the impetus for development and developing our Destination Waterfront plan should come from Port of Olympia. So, you know, that's kind of, you know, where I'm coming from on this one. But, you know, I don't know much about it because, as I say, you know, just what I learned in the packet.
Commissioner, if
Right.
I might add, so the city of Olympia would be the administrative lead on the project. They wouldn't necessarily be leading the design process or consider a collaboration. They just agreed that they would take the lead on administering the interlocal agreement.
Are they the ones that came up with this? Who came up with this interlocal agreement idea, by the way?
It's been a conversation between administrators at Lot and the Port of Olympia and the City of Olympia. And there has been one elected official, Lisa Parsley, who has participated in these conversations. So there's been a number of those. Doug Mall has been included, and as a representative of the Community College Foundation, as well as the Center for Sustainable Infrastructure.
Well, should we rule out anything on the peninsula? Because, you know, we've already been shot down by the city of Olympia vis-a-vis, you know, ideas that came from the port, especially the RV park. It was shot down 9-0. And, you know, so does this, how do you expect this training center to get past the, you know, maritime use or, you know, whatever within 100 feet of the water type of thing?
There's been no consideration of a specific siting yet. I believe that is the intent of the scoping exercise, is to actually talk about what are the programming needs, what is actually the demand for these programs, and then to much further down the road, potentially talk about siting.
All right, thank you, Commissioner Evans. You have questions or comments?
Yeah, I did have the opportunity to meet with Lisa Parsley to talk about this. And so just wanted to, I think this is what you just said, Sam, but the location could be anywhere. It could be in Tumwater, correct? Or it probably not Tumwater.
Probably not Tumwater.
But there is no specific location at this point.
That is correct.
So I think it's really exciting. I think it's an opportunity for job creation, education, public-private, whether it's partnership or bridging. And then just the collaboration of the jurisdictions and the pooling of both energy, effort, resources. So at this point, it obviously is in its infancy and just exploring, but I think it has a lot of the ingredients of a recipe of real success. I think Commissioner Downing's points about making sure that we're following destination waterfront and, understanding our land use planning so that we can have the highest and best use of that land. I totally agree. But I'm really excited, and I think that anything that we can do to create more training programs for jobs and be a part of that, I think is really in the wheelhouse of Port's mission of economic development. So, yeah. So I'm excited, excited to see what comes to fruition. Obviously, there's more questions than answers right now.
All right, thanks. Thank you, Commissioner Evans. I agree. Workforce development projects are something that is needed for all industries. I know this sounds like it might start out fairly specific towards the needs of the water treatment, but could expand into something that encompasses many more industries, and so I really do think that it's also worth working, or at least completing the study and seeing what a final plan would look like. I do have one question, I guess, on the $10,000. Is that something that we budgeted for this year, or where would that 10,000 come from?
That would be coming out of, likely out of the professional services in the executive budget. We have some, that's likely where I put it in the budget. So put it in that line. And we did not specifically have this budget in there, but that will be for me to budget, to manage that overall budget.
Kind of a contingency then.
Mm.
Okay. All right. If that's all the comments or questions on that, shall we move on to number 2, the strategic planning consultant contract? That again, Executive Director Sam Givney.
Commissioner Ayala, this is Lisa Parks. I'm your Executive
Well, Lisa is
Services
going to take this
Director.
one. That's what I thought.
I'm going to jump in on this one. Thank you. So we're here tonight just for an advisory calendar item to discuss a strategic planning consultant agreement with Jim Darling of Leeward Strategies. So next slide, please, Shayla. In the 2022 budget, there is $65,000 allocated specifically for 5-year strategic planning processes. We've already begun working towards having you all begin the process of strategic planning by having Jim talk to you a little bit about Strategic Planning 101. We've talked with Ann McFarlane and with Holly about processes. So we're trying to take this a next step further so we can integrate all of the great work that has been done over the past couple of years in Vision 2050, as well as in the destination waterfront planning that Commissioner Downing referenced that was completed in March of 2021. That was a lot of great input from the community, and this strategic planning process will help us understand how to put more of those items into action. So with that $65,000 budget, and the reason we are asking for your approval to have Jim Darling of Leeward Strategies enter into this contract with him is he's a highly qualified professional. He has specific Washington State Port District Executive Director experience with all of the same business lines that the Port of Olympia has. He has also, as a consultant, been conducting strategic planning processes for local government agencies throughout Washington State for more than 10 years, and that includes ports as well as cities, public utility districts, fire districts, and the like. So we feel as staff that he's well qualified and he has a good, solid understanding of the Port of Olympia already. Next slide, please. So the scope of this would basically, I've put in here all of the specific items, including the tasks and the deliverables under the proposed scope of work that would be attached and adopted by the through the personal services agreement. Jim has, as I mentioned, quite a bit of experience already in knowing what the Port of Olympia has in terms of its existing documents. So we hope that that would be a source of efficiency in terms of this cost. He would conduct background and research. He would be facilitating and preparing the PowerPoints and the agendas for several different workshops with staff and commission to help us understand the strategic priorities from all of those existing efforts that I mentioned earlier, and would ultimately come up with both draft and final versions of the 5-year strategic plan, as well as beginning to help us develop draft and final versions of an annual action plan that puts the strategic plan into effect on an annual basis. Next slide, please. So the schedule and budget for this project would, Jim would begin his work immediately upon approval. I put an end date here of December 31st, 2022. That's typically what we do with a contract of this sort. We do actually anticipate having the strategic plan particularly done a little bit earlier in the year so that it can help us advise our budget as we're running into the budgeting process for 2023. The budget is, Jim charges on a time and materials basis, but he has also established a not to exceed amount of $49,350. That amount means that there still is remaining in the budget a few $1,000s to help with, for example, if we need additional assistance creating business unit plans or those types of additional facilitated services. So what we are recommending is that the commission at their next regularly scheduled meeting on February 28th have on the action calendar of the terms for approval of the personal services contract between Leeward Strategies and the Port of Olympia. Next slide. I'm happy to answer any questions.
We can go around the room again. Commissioner Evans, this time, you have any questions or comments?
I don't think so. I'm assuming you guys considered other options and this is who you landed on, and that's why you're making this recommendation. Is that fair assessment, Lisa?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, so no, I appreciate the overview. It sounds like he has a lot of experience and we could maybe save some time with having to get somebody else up to speed.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Downing, questions or comments?
Yeah, my comment is that I think that Jim Darling is a great choice, and you know, he's very experienced in the port industry, and I can tell he's done his homework, so he understands Port of Olympia. And you know, I'm nervous about doing it this year with 2 brand new commissioners, but at the same time, it's really an exercise of, you know, as we go through it, you learn and you grow and you know, assimilate and talk about, you know, future strategies, goals, and objectives for the port. So I think that, you know, it's good a time as ever to get this done. So I'm very supportive.
All right, thank you. Well, I will just say I don't know Jim Darling as well as some of you do. I've you know, heard him speak a few times, and I think he understands port business quite well, it sounds like. So I think that's a plus. I think the other thing about, you know, about strategic planning is that the facilitator is really a key role and very important in accomplishing, you know, what we want to have. So we have a good plan ahead to direct Executive Director Gibney and her staff, give them a good plan, and that facilitator is just such a key role. So I think that's a great idea too. So it seems like they for both items here. They're looking for some direction from the commission. I think it is probably worthwhile that we now see if there is any public comment that needs to go with this on these two items as part of the advisory calendar, and then we can come back to what we do moving forward. Is there anybody who would like to? Carla Wolfsburg has her hand up. You have the floor, Ms. Wolfsburg.
Hi, thank you. Yes, this is Carla Wolfsburg. I just wanted to ask if during this strategic planning process, there will be an opportunity for the public to both read and comment and make suggestions during that process? Or is it a closed process that the commissioners will be discussing? That's my question.
Well, that's a good question. I think it's I think they're the sessions will be like work sessions, if I'm not mistaken. They will be open for public view, but I don't think that there was planned for public comment during that time, but somebody please correct me if I'm wrong.
So Commissioner Ayal, you are correct. These will be conducted during open public sessions. Typically, they're going to be happening in work session format, and so it'll be primarily for the commissioners to provide their thoughts and input and direction. I would imagine that it is up to the commission if you would like to have public meetings that include public comment. I think that would be a good idea as we get through to the steps where you're considering an actual draft document and then approaching a final approval of the strategic plan. One thing that I will say is reflecting back, for example, on Mr. Cezanne's comments, the Port of Olympia has done a lot of really good work in the last 2 to 3 years with the Vision 2050 plan and with the destination waterfront planning process, which is a component of and was identified as part of the Vision 2050 plan. And part of the hope with the strategic plan is that we are able to integrate those documents into a strategic plan that shows how all of those different things are working together, and it helps to provide some priorities and some phasing and direction to staff, and as well as transparency to the public about where the Port District will be focusing its energies over a period of time. So that was a long way to say yes. It will have.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Lisa. I see L. Reiner's hand up.
Yes, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead, Ms. Reiner.
Thank you. I would like to echo Ms. Wolfsberger's comments a moment ago regarding public input. I believe it's really, really important. I remember when we had the Vision 2050 review and public comment to that. I remember there was quite a bit of activity and discussion in the public regarding that overview by the port. As I understand it, that also, as you just mentioned, was a strategic plan evaluation for many aspects of the port. I'm kind of confused. So here we are now looking to hire Mr. Jim Darling to go out and spend $49,000. We don't know how much per hour he's charging, but time and materials budget, whatever, not to exceed. It'd be interesting to know, is he charging 200 an hour, 300 an hour, but beyond that, how are we going to be able to bring these strategic plans coalescing into one strategic plan as was discussed by Vision 2050 several years ago? I know that your comments at the beginning of the meeting, that that original discussion on Vision 2050, basically it was a ball, it was put out there, it was agreed, it was voted on, and the ball was dropped. completely dropped. Nobody said a word. Now here we go. A new vision, a new strategic plan. Now we're going to pay $49,000 to this guy. And where are we going with this? I think there's a lot of confusion. I think that we're putting the cart before the horse. Let's go back to look what we had discussed on the Vision 2050. Let's see where we had gotten with that. We have 2 new commissioners here with our Port of Olympia Commission. Let's face it, it's a long learning curve because there's a lot of detail, a lot of discussion that went on with that first overview, that scenario that was held a few years ago. And I'm just concerned that we're going to drop that ball and we're going to go into something else. We don't know really where we are. This idea of having a annual overview or action plan is a good idea. I feel like we're all over the place and we're not focusing then. Also, I wanted to mention that I do believe that we needed 4 days for the publication of documents before coming before the public at the Port of Olympia and before the commissioners, and 2 business days is inadequate, but that's already been voted on, and I understand that. It's just, we're rushing things, we're confused, we're not focused. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Reiner. Looks like Bill has his hand up. Bill, there you go. Bill, you have the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioners. Bill McGregor here, and always enjoy listening to the process the Port Commissioners are taking. A couple of historical things I want to bring to mind here, and that is that when the Hands-On Children's Museum first went in on that piece, and then across the street from that was the West Mill apartments that are going up, and as you see, they're really nice looking building, and then next to it, Walker John is also scheduled or has an option to begin building there. But there's a vacant piece between the Hands-On Children's Museum and that parking lot. There's an open spot in there that was always planned for to be some kind of an education facility. And I hear rumors that the Hands-On Children's Museum may be wanting to expand. And so perhaps this piece of land could be built up in conjunction with what the MOU is suggesting, but also perhaps the Hands-On Children's Museum might have a stake in that as well to expansion. And that the parking lot that is out there, when the port allowed that to be built, we maintained the air rights over that so that at some future time, a parking garage could go there and the port would have the opportunity to put that in. So I encourage you to take a look at that as a potential location for that moving into the future. The other item, Mr. Jim Darling was executive director of the Port of Bellingham for many, many years. He has done work for the port in the past under Mal Foster Alonji and has done some good work for us. We've used him when I was on the commission, and now he's taken on a new opportunity and started his own company called Leeward Strategies. I think he'd be the right person to help facilitate and bring a updated strategic plan forward, something that the commissioners, staff, and the public could really latch on to. So I think you're moving in the right direction, and I encourage you to keep moving in that direction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. McGregor. I don't see any other hands up.
Can I follow up, Commissioner Ayala?
Yes, Commissioner Evans, go ahead.
I think what I'm hearing is we have a lot of really good content from the Vision 2050 on what the public would like to see. And what the strategic plan is going to do is give us an implementation plan. So we aren't going back to the public and reinventing the wheel. We are coming up with strategies on how we can implement what we've already heard. And to Ms. Reiner's comments, we've already spent a lot of resources to have a really good document that gives us a synthesized view of what the public wants. And now we're going to go do it, which is what Mr. Cezanne's comments were. And so I think that the strategic plan is a great step to meeting the goals based on the public comment we've had today.
Thank you, Commissioner Evans. Anything else from you, Ms. Commissioner Downing? Sorry.
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Ms. Renner, and thank you, former Port Commissioner McGregor.
Yeah. All right, so back to these two items here. The first item being the interlocal agreement for the multi-purpose training center. Staff recommends that staff recommends that the execution of the interlocal agreement and participation of port staff in the scoping exercise. It looks like they're looking for direction to possibly bring this back to our next regular meeting. Do we have any objection to that? I don't hear any objections, so I would say that, yeah, we're okay to bring that interlocal agreement back for consideration at our next regular meeting. And then the same thing for the strategic planning consultant agreement. Their recommendation, staff recommendation, is to include the draft personal services agreement with Leeward Strategies to assist the completion of the 5-year strategic plan. Any objections to that coming back to the February 28th commission meeting? Hearing no objection, we'll expect to see those then on our next.
Commissioner Ayal, if Commissioner Downing or Commissioner Ayal, I know Council Member Parsley would be excited to meet with either of you to get your feedback or share what's already been done. If that was something you were interested in doing, she's just had a lot going on, but she wanted to speak with both of you about the work that's been done. So if that would be helpful between now and the next meeting, I'd be, I can't talk to you, but I'm sure the staff can help you, or you can reach out to Councilmember Parsley. She's very excited about it and has a lot of good information and is very excited about the port's involvement and leadership there as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I have had a brief discussion with Councilwoman Parsley. It's been a bit of time though. Probably wouldn't hurt to catch up again, but yeah, I do understand. She's quite excited about it, and I deservedly so. I think it could be a really good project. So, all right, we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is commissioners' reports and discussion. Commissioner Evans, would you like to go first?
Sure. I had a busy month of meeting with members of the public, one specifically working on some potential solar projects with Joel Hansen, who's been a member of our POCAC and has a lot of good relationships there. So that's something that the staff is looking at. And I'm excited that Joel reached out. Also meeting with other multi-jurisdictional partners, commissioners, city council members, and trying to build bridges there for the port. And then slowly but surely getting to meet the staff. I get to meet some of the maintenance staff this week with Sam. I'm really excited about that. And to those staff members I haven't yet met, I blame the COVID because I know that my fellow commissioners and I wanted to have an all staff meeting and really meet all of you. And we're just so excited to do that as soon as possible. And I'll see some of the maintenance staff this week, but want to get out to the airport as well and just building the bridges wherever we can and trying to do my part in getting there. So yeah, productive month.
Thank you, Commissioner Evans. Commissioner Downing.
Thank you, Chairman. Other than regular port meetings, I don't have a lot to report this week. So.
Okay. I will. I guess I'll report that I have. I've attended both the Lacey South Sound Chamber of Commerce and the Elm Chamber of Commerce February meetings. The Lacey Chamber recognized the businesses of the year. It was a very nice, really nice luncheon, and some well-deserving entrepreneurs getting recognized for their businesses. That was a lot of fun. I've also attended the Thurston Regional Planning Council meeting for February, and I'm scheduled to go through the orientation for that. I believe it's the 28th of this month that I'll be going through their orientation and getting up to speed on all their projects. One thing to report is I have had a request from the Elm Chamber to address their group with a state of the port report. So I think that's scheduled for, they'd like it to be scheduled for March 8th. In my weekly meeting with Executive Director Gibney, I will talk about what kind of, what information we have available that we can include in that. So that is my report. Is there any other business? Yes, Commissioner Downing.
Well, thanks, Chairman IL. I'm going to request that we have an executive session, depending on schedules, before the work session next Tuesday. And it falls under the allowable exercise of performance of an employee. So I'd like to request that we put that together. I don't know another way of communicating to you other than just asking you to see if we can't put that on the schedule. And then I'll have, I'll probably between now and Thursday, put in a couple of requested topics for the work session, but don't need to talk about those now. Those will be in writing.
Okay, I will consult with staff on the executive session.
Chairman IL, what is
Yes.
the proper way you would like us to? Is it at the end of the meeting, or is it to send what is the proper way to communicate about something like that moving forward? Given that I'm new and I don't know the process.
Well, and given I'm new, I'm going to give you the best answer I can. And I think that it should fall under what what our normal communication with each other is outside of the meeting would be through our executive director or chosen staff. If for example, I'm not 100% sure what Commissioner Downing's request is on a performance of an employee. If it has to do with if it has to do with Executive Director Gibney, then I would think that we would go through Felicia to communicate that. So I would keep that same process, communicate with each other through staff.
Mm-hmm.
All right, does that answer your question? Any other business?
It's Valentine's Day. Hope everyone's, spreading love.
I spread love all across the whole United States today. Okay, let's see. Last agenda item is meeting announcement. And that would be Executive Director Gibney, I think.
Yes, so we do have that special meeting, which is a work session on Tuesday, February 22nd at 2:30. And on February 28th is the next regularly scheduled commission meeting at 5:30 p.m. And then after that will be, the next regular meeting will be on March 14th at 5:30 p.m.
All right, thank you.
All right.
So that's the end of the agenda. If there's no other businesses or no other business that anybody wants to bring up, do I hear a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second,
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you.
wait a second,
everybody.
wait. What did you learn from Ann McFarland about ending a meeting? There's an alternative method. And did you want to practice that, Chairman IL?
Well, we already went through this one, but next time I will just say, seeing no further business, this meeting is adjourned.
Yay. All right, thank you.
You can be
All right.
like, I do what I want.
All right.
Okay.
Good night,
everybody.
everybody.
Good night.